You can't pick cherries with your back to the tree. J.P. Morgan. Jesus Christ, what a way to do an intro. Good day, everyone. And today, on the internet, I'll be responding to a pair of videos my friend Øbail has shared with me recently by one Bewildered Ape. Bad sex, the four horsemen, and racist Rue plays in traffic. Now, I understand it's here to make an impactful, shocking statement, but considering what's to follow, I don't think it in any way helps to validate what you have to say, my friend.
I don't give a fuck what their experience was if they're going to label it rape. If they want to say, that made me uncomfortable, I would say, hey, you know what? I'm sorry, let's discuss that. Let's talk about what made you uncomfortable. But if they want to break out the R word, if they want to say, you're a fucking rapist because I'm not sure about what we did last night, fuck you!
Yes. Let us fire up the quote mining machine, strip away the context, and leave bare the pure jewels of dishonest exemplification. This is a roughly 25-second slice of an 8-minute 40 video from a year prior to this one's release, which in The Amazing Atheist is explaining that, contrary to popular belief, there are in fact false rape accusations. Specifically, he is referring to the idea of retroactive rescission of consent. If you're interested in watching his full detail, the link will be at your upper right now all of the card, and down in the description. Onward.
In modern human society, the word rape has become such a profane and sacrilegious term in reference to sexual abuse and sexual violence that many sexually aggressive human males now want to erase the word from the English language.
And here, our first directly erected strawman. Now, I'm sure he could pull one or maybe even two examples of some fringe mad motherfuckers calling for the erasure of the word rape because it triggers them, but they are at best exceptions to the rule.
Just as the word nigger is offensive to many African Americans and is now commonly referred to as the N-word,
I don't see how this comparison holds any relevance whatsoever. Nigger is a descriptor turned racial insult turned time and place sensitive joke, and in certain contexts remains a descriptor.
Sexual predators are now seeking acknowledgement for the offensiveness of the word rapist, and they want to mitigate that offense and negativity by referring to it as the R word.
If they want to break out the R word, if they want to say, you're a fucking rapist because I'm not sure about what we did last night, fuck you!
Need I even say that TJ's use of the phrase R word was to represent it as pedantic and hypersensitive?
The anger and outrage created by the use of the word rapist has also gained support from the scientific community. Dr. Philip Mason at the Academy of Science of the Czech Republic explains scientifically how crimes that traditionally came under the category of rape are now considered assault or bad sex.
And in another edition of Coming Out of the Context, we have our recurring guest star on the Bewildered Ape channel, Thunderfoot. This video in particular is his Teach Them Not to Rape, in which he is making the statement that even though something may be illegal, you're not free from your responsibility to, verbatim, take simple steps to minimize your risks of becoming a victim. But onto the 45-second snippet of the 1832 video Ape used. Thunderfoot is describing the difference between rape, as the introductory segment portrayed, and something like the person you're sleeping with being so bad you wish they'd stop, but they go on.
on a spectrum going from the traditional depictions of violent rape, which seems to be much more a crime of violence and domination than it is of sexual gratification. And such assaults make up a relatively small amount, maybe only 10% of the total rapes. This bleeds into things like date rape, where there may actually be some element of a normal relationship, and indeed in many such cases the victims know their attackers. Here the desire for sexual gratification from the male plays a larger part than the physical domination part. Then you go through the transition between rape and just bad sex.
To put Dr. Mason's analysis in simple terms, the classification of criminal activity traditionally considered sex crimes or rape is best understood as a spectrum ranging from violent assault through to bad sex. The advantage of this scientific and politically correct system of classification is that sexually aggressive males can now be accepted by society without feeling ostracized, oppressed, or belittled for having hostile and predatory natures.
I think it goes without saying you either didn't watch the video or warped the meaning into a pretzel, for your own statements. Well, I can't blame you for wanting to use those shiny new quotes you dug up from the Mayan, I suppose.
Dr. Mason goes on to explain how it is unfair for society to be prejudiced against sexual predators, because they should be accepted alongside heterosexuality, homosexuality, asexuality, bisexuality, and pedophilia.
And if you've seen the video, there is at no point which he states it should be accepted. Instead, he mentions that these are inborn characteristics which are highly unlikely to be simply educated away.
Yes, sexual attitudes seem to be pretty deeply biologically ingrained, and I have significant doubts that you will effectively be able to educate people out of them. I think you will have very limited success in trying to educate, say for instance, a serial sexual predator out of their sexuality. For comparison, all those Christians who decided that homosexuality was wrong, that it was evil, and that all you had to do was to educate people out of it.
The desire to redefine rape in less offensive terms has also emerged broadly within human society.
To select a quote of my own, citation needed.
In the use of any search engine, there is a growing rise of politically correct terms for the subject of male sexual aggression. For example, numerous videos that traditionally would be described as rape now use the more neutral phrase forced sex. Here is an example of what constitutes forced sex in these videos.
Check this out, Charlie. Championship fucking right here. 12 rounder.
Oh, please.
Shut up.
The term forced sex was probably used in these clips to keep them from getting nixed from YouTube. What with the bot and all. Whether that's accurate or not, the phrase has been around for an extended period of time, and is what we, who know what words mean, call a synonym. Should you do a quick femtosecond Google search, you'll immediately get redirected to rape. If there is such a movement to change the definition, they're doing a piss-poor job, I must say.
In addition to the cultural shift taking place, political groups such as feminists are working to change the law to either exclude rape entirely as a crime or make the term rape so broad that sexually aggressive males are not stigmatized.
Let's also put in perspective how laws are drafted and why these particular laws were drafted the way they were. Can you take us through it?
What feminists have been doing for many years is trying to expand the definition of rape. In the earlier law, the definition of rape was penetration of the vagina by a penis, and therefore bottles, stakes, fingers, other things didn't count. And so this is a long battle we fought that through the Justice of Verma Committee report finally has resulted in a law that's not perfect. Most laws aren't, but a law that has nonetheless expanded the definition of rape in ways that are more progressive, that allow for a greater possibility of achieving justice.
Now, where in any of that is it even implied that your statement just a few seconds ago is accurate? If anything, it provides evidence as to the opposite.
The men's rights movement is also attacking the victimization of sexually aggressive human males by suggesting that these men considered to be rapists are in fact the actual victims of bad sex.
The criminal justice system that really finds its bread and butter off of prosecuting alleged rapists time after time after time. So this argument that it's not a consequential enough matter is only a matter of depraved indifference from people who can look at what actually happens to rapists, and you still have the newspapers calling them rapists, which I believe is actual victims. They put the wrong person in jail, or in many cases there was no person to put in jail to begin with. They just put the person in jail who had the finger pointed at them.
Second verse, same as the first.
What this amounts to is that rapists are the real victims of rape because their sexual aggression is not something they have control over. And any person traditionally believed to be the victim of male sexual aggression is in fact the perpetrator of the sex crime and are in fact the real rapists. This is supported by the scientific opinion of Dr. Mason.
For example, if you dress and act erotically, if you put on the body language of foreplay, the strong eye contact, the tactile touching, if you telegraph such information, but actually have no interest in such things, you are increasing the chances that someone will misread the signs as interest or sexual initiation or so on. If you spend some time reading accounts from serial rapists, they tend to choose their victims based on body language. Here the cues tend to be not so much how you dress, although this is communicating things about you. It's do you have the body language of someone who would make a good victim.
Even if Thunderfoot were making this claim, his scientific opinion would make your argument no more valid. But again, I suppose I'll just let you go showing off your shiny new quotes, pal.
What Dr. Mason also found in his chemistry experiments is that so-called rapists do not target candidates for potential sexual gratification, but for whether they make a good victim. It's not eroticism, sexuality, or lack of self-discipline that compels men to rape children, partners, girlfriends, and so forth, but instead it's the body language of a prey. If a person communicates that they are a victim, sexually aggressive males are more likely to be provoked by the behavioral cues rather than any specific choice to commit a sex crime.
Hashtag some.
Shh, shh. It's okay, Gracie. Uncle Bully's gonna be gentle with you, as gentle as a lamb. Your mum and dad gonna be real angry at you turning me on like that. Coming downstairs, nothing but that flimsy little nicey.
As you can see in the previous segment, Uncle Bully didn't rape Gracie because she wore a flimsy nightie. The clothing no doubt turned him on, but it's her eye contact with him after he awoke her, and the victim-like signals she gives off as she lay under him in her bed that provoked the aggressive sexual nature of Uncle Bully to have bad sex with her. But what this all really comes down to is the nature of relationships between men and women, as Tyrone Magnus so eloquently explains it.
Women love aggression. Now I'm going to get into explaining this, okay? There are certain primal, I guess, instincts and feelings and, things that we have in us that we respond to, okay? When you look at males and females, women tend to respond to dominance and aggression, while men respond to submissiveness in women. It's just true. I mean, a girl that is submissive to a man, men love that. That's why so many cultures, it's important for the woman to be submissive. I think it's in our nature, just like with a lot of animals in the wild. Primal instincts. Primal instincts.
You know, you have so many non sequiturs here, I can only imagine the incredible video that'd arise from someone mincing this video as you've done and, turned it on you.
The enlightened position on rape is that sexual aggression is something that happens among wild animals, so civilized society should also support these natural primal instincts in humans. So if you support social justice, stop stigmatizing rapists. These sexually aggressive males, including any of those in this video, need society to acknowledge their wild and aggressive behavior. They are not criminals. They are the true victims of rape. They are the victims of submissive women who give off victim signals.
Primal instincts. Primal instincts.
Primal instincts indeed, everyone. Truly, there isn't another force in the world that could drive me to respond to this hominid. Well, next up, part 2.
I am Bewildered Ape. Thank you for watching. Feel free to comment.
Thank you all for listening. Whether you found my content enjoyable or detestable, please give a thumbs up or down. Share the video with others, subscribe, and contribute to the discussion via my social media and the comments below. If you'd like to become my patron, the link to my page is listed in the description. Till then, everyone, this has been Xilver with a Z.